Hi there, I'm Karen Dunn of KMD Productions. From the equipment manufacturers to the engineers to the business people behind the scenes. Over the years, every member of the Pro Audio corner of the music industry have become family to me, and it's my job to bring the whole eclectic crew together. Each episode, I'll introduce you to one of these characters and open a window into my world of creating community in Pro Audio. Thanks for tuning in to One and Dunn. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of One and Dunn podcast. Today's going to be a special edition. We have John Mlynczak, the CEO and President of NAMM. He's come back to talk about NAMM 2024. We're going to answer any questions that are out there, and hopefully I have them all. So, hi, John. Thank you for being part of this again.
Hey, Karen. Thank you so much for having me again. So nice. I get to come on twice in 6 months.
Yeah. So when I talked to you originally, I think you were like 3 days into your job. So how is it? You had high hopes. You had all these thoughts and things you wanted to do. And what is reality really like at NAMM? How's it been for you?
Yeah, what a great question. I think overall, I knew what, right, we were getting into. I knew what we had to do as an industry. I knew what NAMM was, needed to do. I mean, we had a 9-month interview process for the job, so I had a good idea of where we're going. I knew that it was going to be crazy busy, but I only knew like what and that at that point. Now I know why and how all those things are happening. Right? So now I know, okay, like I knew it was coming, but you're like, something's coming. But it's been a lot. Early on was just we have to talk to people, right? Like we knew in this office, we knew, NAMM had done so much prep work of like, okay, we know we need to go somewhere. We know where we need to go. We have a new leader coming in. Right. But, absorbing all of that first and foremost from the team and then getting out. I mean, you and I were together at Infocom, and as you know, I've traveled all over the world. I have more Delta miles than I've ever had before. I don't know what to do with them now. But, just get out and listening. It's been a really incredible ride, and we've had to make a lot of decisions really quickly. But, now that we're far enough along to start getting some feedback on what we've done, I think everything's been right. We're in the right direction.
I was just in a meeting with EAW, and I said, I'm going to do this podcast with John Mlynczak. Well, first of all, one of the guys said that you're very nice, but he also wanted
you say that surprised. You're like, yeah, he said you were nice.
But he wanted, he said, ask John what fast track he went on to be where he is right now, which we have discussed before. And you are on the younger side, but as we pointed out in our other podcast, Joe Lamont was the same age when he started about. So I just thought that was that was the one question he wanted to ask about you. Okay, so let's go into questions. Be rapid fire.
Let's do it.
Okay.
And I have no idea what these questions are for you folks.
I know you haven't.
Listening.
You haven't. I'm not sure what they are. Okay. First of all, so this is our first NAMM back since 2020, right? So for someone who has never been to NAMM ever before, which is hard to believe, how would you describe the show and how it's laid out?
No, it's a great question. It's our first NAMM on cycle in January back.
Yes.
It's in 2020, and that's, if you've never been to a NAMM show and you've been to a trade show, their NAMM is not a trade show. The NAMM show is unique and special. And I can't think of anything else that represents the industry more accurately than the NAMM does the music industry. Meaning it's passionate, there's music, there's business, there's networking. It is too much to take in 4 days, but you take in more than you ever thought you could, and you leave. The thing about NAMM for me personally that I've always experienced, and what I'm excited about making sure we intentionally create, is you go into the NAMM show having your list of meetings and knowing who you're going to connect with. You get there and you leave the NAMM show. It's the opportunities that you didn't know exist until you were there that turn out to be the ones that are the most successful for you personally and for your business, right? Because we get everyone together, and we're very intentional about, yes, we want trade and exhibits. We want brands elevated. We want retailers and brands connecting. but we also want artists, and we want social influencers, and we want educators, and we want education sessions throughout that cover all the topics. We want music in the lobbies. We want music on the stages. It's truly representative of the music industry.
So I know people come from all over the world to attend, but the people I hear from a lot are the people who live in LA. Like, why do I want to drive to Anaheim? There's going to be a lot of traffic. Parking's going to be horrible. How do you get those people who are local to come down? What do you think are some high points to get them back to the NAMM show in this regular cycle?
That's so funny. It's such, I'm a Californian now because I live out here, and I've had to drive up to LA a few times for meetings, and I've driven to LA enough to know why they think that, right? We have people from over 120 countries that will travel from across the world to attend NAMM, but for some reason that's easier than driving 45 minutes in LA traffic, right? Actually,
right. It's true.
So I understand why the LA people hate that traffic. But there's nothing else like it. I think sometimes people think, oh well, I'm in a very creative hub of the United States. LA is big for film, and there's a lot of music studios, and they're surrounded by people in this space all the time. But NAMM is bringing in folks that you would not normally see in LA. You would not normally have that connection. And it is this international, but also there's those folks from all over the country. And then there's a magic that happens when you get that together. And what I'd be interested in is not just talking to the people who don't want to make the drive, but for everyone who has making the drive and been part of it, I would guarantee that I'll say like, yes, that was absolutely worth it.
I'm very familiar with the pro audio section of NAMM, that part. But I know that there's a lot more to NAMM than just the pro audio section. So what are some highlights? What are some other areas for people to come and check out?
Yeah, we think about NAMM. It's not a trade show of 60 or 80 or 100,000 people coming together. We think of ourselves now as we are a series of hundreds, like 100, 1,000 person communities. Our industry is nuanced, so it's not this. We're trying to really work towards someone can show up, and if you're a luthier, you can find your community of luthiers. If you're a small retailer, you can find that community. If you're an artist, you can find that community. If you're a social content creator, you can find that community. So we think of ourselves as a collection of communities. And we're doing a lot with segmentation, badging, the way we market stuff on the app, the experience people have, so they can find the community that they need to be in. And then those communities can connect for the larger good. As cheesy as it sounds, it feels like me as a trumpet player. I find my trumpet people, but then we are a section that plays in the greater band, and we all have the
right.
Yeah. We absolutely, we work very hard intentionally to look at our data, and make sure we have every community representative. So educators, we're really focused on, getting those communities, and not just educators, but the personas inside. So we use internally communities and personas, because you're K-12, or you could be private lesson instructor, or, you could be an educator that makes YouTube content, teaches people to play guitar. I mean, those are educators as well. So we try to segment out the different types of educators. We, obviously we have instrument, wind instrument community, those folks. We're really working on growing the lighting community. That's the one we really want to invest in more. Percussionists, that's a whole other community, So we have every community represented, and the challenge is just making it easier to find the communities. Because pro audio, we have ACC North, we have the North Hall, we have the demo rooms, some of the communities are more obvious than others, but they're all there.
The question I get the most is, I'd like to go to NAMM, but I have no idea how to get in. How do I qualify? How do I register? Because there was a time where I would never be allowed in NAMM because I don't qualify.
Yeah, we changed that. Really, we've updated that, and that's something we've heard a lot. It's probably the question we got the most, and it was actually a double-edged sword, because not only that people that wanted to be at NAMM that add value to our industry, right? Qualified people, that's important, wanted to come to NAMM, but the way they were getting in is getting a guest badge from a friend or an exhibitor who had a friend of a friend of a friend, and so not only do we have people finding their way in through other paths, the data we were getting on who was there was skewed because it was like 18% guests, and we didn't know who these people were. So we
Right.
solved that in two ways. We wanted to first and foremost, maintain that we are a trade show. We are not a anyone walks in, cash and carry consumer fare of products. We're not that. But there are qualified people in our industry, you being absolutely one of them, that add value that we need to connect with and to elevate brands. So we've created a registration path. If you want to attend NAMM and you are, qualified industry, if you're working in the industry in some way, you can go to NAMM's website and you can register for the NAMM Show. And not only register, but in most cases, you can be an individual member. So we've actually opened up a membership path, not just to have people at the show, but if you are an educator or a repair tech, or you're running front of house for a tour, right? You can now be a NAMM member. If you're running lights at your church on Sunday, whatever it is, we recognize there's a lot of people that work in the music products industry that are in the gig economy, right? That doesn't really work for a member company, but work in our industry. So we opened that up. So we absolutely, you can attend NAMM. If you're qualified working in the industry, you go to our website, our registration will walk you through, you tick the boxes on who you are. We'll say you're eligible to be a member, and the cost of membership and the cost of registration are the same. We just wanted to say, if you're eligible to be a member, we want you as a member year round. Non-members would be artists and media, but we absolutely want and have lots of artists and media at our show. So we've expanded who we want to represent as an association, or who we can represent as a products association, as well as who can attend. So hopefully this year, everyone that wants to come knows they can go right to the website, join as a member, or register to attend, and show up with a badge that represents who they are.
And it's my understanding that if you register, you get a discounted Disneyland ticket.
Oh yeah, I think I should know this. We do. We have some partnership with Disney. Disney's so good to us. There is a Disney partnership. I don't know what it is.
I don't know how people would have time to go to Disneyland when they're at NAMM, but there's that. Okay, the second question that I get the most, can I get in for free? Everybody wants to get in for free. Do you have any kind of comp passes, or is it all you need to pay?
It's a good question, right? And here's the thing about NAMM. We exist as an association year-round doing all of this work for our industry that people don't see, the stuff on global trade, the advocacy trip we just took to DC, all of the issues that we work on for our members, all of the stuff we put together. We do all this for the industry constantly. Our only way to fund what we do is by people, attend the NAMM Show or exhibit the NAMM Show, right? We rely on that to do the work we do as an association. And again, we're a nonprofit, so anything that we generate revenue-wise goes back into the industry through our foundation. So I say that to say you're going to come to the NAMM Show, you're going to get hotels, you're going to go out with your buddies, all of this. Is it not worth $150 annual membership to support what we do, to be a member and say, I am not only just going to a thing for free, but I am actually part of this association that grows our industry year round? I just keep making the case of if we give everyone free registration, everyone gets everything free, how do we do what we do? Right.
Right.
Other associations, even global associations, their membership dues are over $1,000. For an individual membership, it's $150. And so
it's very reasonable.
People, so, if NAMM has such a value that you can run into everyone and have this amazing experience, is it worth supporting our association to be there? I think it is.
People want to know, if they register, do they get to do things like go to the Tech Awards for free? Is it all inclusive when they pay for that, or is it different costs for different things?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. We're unique as a trade show in that all of the education sessions are included when you attend NAMM. So you get access to everything on NAMMU, everything on all of our tracks. Our entire education schedule is fully included. The only extra ticketed events are the award shows because we're doing those in partnership with other folks. So the only thing extra that's not included with your registration are the award shows. And that would be Tech, that would be Parnelli, that would be She-Rocks. So all of those award shows are an extra ticket.
Okay. It seems like you've added a lot of new networking opportunities through different ways, through the different times, the different days. So why is that so important to you this coming year?
You're so on top. I'm glad you noticed all this stuff. This is exciting. It's being, well, this goes back to the, not 80,000 people at a show, but 80, 1,000 person communities, right? It goes back to by having these targeted networking opportunities, which is intentional. I'm glad you noticed. We're trying to create space for people to find each other that work in similar areas because you need those connections. And NAMM is so big, right? It's hard to find that unless we create intentional networking spaces. So that's why it's important to us.
Yeah. Okay. I do a lot of networking things, usually online. And when I get the younger people, they don't know how to network. So, and they don't know how to take the first step. So if there's someone coming to NAMM, it might seem kind of overwhelming because there are 80,000 one person, whatever there's a lot of people there. It's overwhelming for the people who go every year. There's just a lot of people. So what do you suggest for people that's their first time, they don't really know anybody and they really want to become part of this community?
No, it's a really good question because, the purpose of having more targeted networking opportunities, it helps when you walk in as a new person attending NAMM or someone you're walking into an event and you don't know anyone yet. Being able to walk into something that there's a common interest already allows you to start conversations quicker, which is why we want more of these opportunities. Otherwise, you're hanging out at the Marriott bar, just like, hey, what do you do? What do you do? So it's already easier. The advice I would give, if you could, for me, I was lucky enough to have people that would take me around and make introductions. Don't be afraid to find someone who's willing to say, hey, can I come in here? Can I connect with you and can you introduce me to a few people? Like having that person, I mean, you've been that person for me before, Karen. You're so, but that person is key. And so finding someone and just saying, hey, can you introduce me to some folks? Ask that. That helps. If you don't have that person, you're new to our industry, when you walk in, just introduce yourself and start talking to people right away. You walk into a networking event, a lot of us you go to the bar, you get a drink, you become a wallflower, you start looking around, who is that? Every second you're not talking to people is a second that you're building up anxiety about talking to people if you're introverts or extroverts. Walk in the room and put your hand out and start talking to people. Don't be afraid to come, be like, hi, I'm John, what do you do? I'm so glad to be here. It's my first NAMM. I guarantee, because I know our industry, they will welcome you with open arms.
Right. Is there something or some things that are new this year that we haven't had before at NAMM? And what are you personally most excited about for this year?
Yeah, so new this year, you've already mentioned a couple things. You'll see more intentional networking opportunities. You'll see more, you'll see people that the badging system will better recognize who people are. So you'll help, we're really trying to help find those connections. But other things new is, we recognize that this year is the beginning of the future of our industry after this little disruption, right? It's big disruption. Let's not underplay it. And so this is not just like, oh, thank God we're back, that thing's over. This is like, no, this change, like COVID pandemic, they changed our industry. And so NAMM will feel and represent what our industry is after the last 3 years and be really focused on where we're going. And so you'll see that as one of the areas that you'll notice this is we recognize that we are not an association that only connects manufacturers and retailers. We're an association that associates a complex web of people, and I've mentioned them before. So you'll see like the power of all those connections coming together in a big way. You'll also see one of the newest community members that we're bringing together actually for the first time. is social content creators and social influencers. So we're throwing a networking reception just for content creators and influencers,
Right.
and we're creating a space for them. And some of these people are, make a living on YouTube reviewing products, teaching lessons. They've never had a home altogether. In fact, they're already like excited about like meeting each other IRL in real life for you
Yeah.
other folks. But like they're all like, actually, I'm the person that does what I do. Like we've created that community because obviously our brands want those influencers at the show in a big way. But that's a new area. We'll see a lot of energy around that, a lot of new exciting content going out about brands. So also not just that area, but elevating global media. So our opening session is really going to set the tone. We're calling it Industry Insights this year. Don't worry, the bacon will be there. So you'll have your bacon, you'll have your powdered eggs, load them up. But we're really focused on kicking off the NAMM show on how we are going to approach the future, which will be a session called Industry Insights, and I will be sharing not only insights we've gathered, but what that means for what NAMM's going to do year round to grow our global industry. And I'll save that as a teaser for the opening session.
Okay. So it sounds like everything you're doing is trying to make NAMM more inclusive, bringing more parts of the world together.
Yes, it's a really good observation. We look at, there's obviously a lot of people, there's a lot of ideas of what we can do at NAMM, right? But what we focus on is what can only NAMM do for the industry, and that's grow the industry. Our job is to make this thing bigger so everyone working in this industry has more opportunity. And so you see that's allowing easier access to get more media coverage, to elevate our industry, right? To bring in the folks that are in, so that's what you're hearing. That's what we focus on. Our big idea bucket is what can only NAMM do and what grows the industry. That's the ones we focus on.
Okay. If people come to the show and they have a question for you or a complaint or they have a great idea, are you accessible at all for just the public that's coming in?
Yeah, well, for questions and compliments, I'm very accessible. For complaints, we have a very special place at the NAMM Show. No, actually, it's interesting. Right now. I'm want to be incredibly accessible, and I'm already working on my NAMM Show calendar, and I'm getting all sorts of meeting requests. We're holding everything because I don't want to be, scheduled up in the suite having meetings all day. So I'm blocking time every day just to walk around and to see people. If you see me at the NAMM Show, come say hi to me. Also know that, our NAMM staff, we communicate internally constantly. I am very much like anything I learn, I share with our staff. Anything our staff learns, they share with me. So we're trying to really make sure that any NAMM employee can help you. So we're really working on collaborative, shared vision. So if you see me at the NAMM Show, talk to me. But if you see a NAMM staff badge, go talk to them.
I'll have one.
Yes. All your complaints. That's right. Karen does complaint department, right? Karen complaint department.
Yeah. Okay. So I know the answer to this for me, but I hear this also, especially after the weird few years we had. Why are trade shows still necessary? Because we were able to survive for a few years without them. So why spend all the money and do all that, whether you're exhibiting or whether you're attending? So how do you answer that?
Yeah. Well, trade, there's a necessity. And I'll tell you, like, there's two ways to look at this. One is that if you look around, every industry is coming back. Trade shows are coming back across the board. But you also look at what people are doing. You know what else is coming back? Restaurant industry, live touring, small venue clubbing. Anything where people want to gather together and connect is coming back strong. Even all these all these offices, the great return to office, the great RTO focus in business, it's across the board. We're realizing that there's nothing more powerful than getting people together. And we also recognize that when you're on a Zoom, we know we can't all talk at the same time.
We can, but nobody hears it.
Exactly. And you don't get those, so you don't get the power of what you leave with that you never know was going to happen. And we're seeing that across the area. So trade shows, but also just gathering, right? Like the trade show versus, yes, the world, we can retailers can do orders from manufacturers year round. Of course they can, but that's not why you attend the NAMM show, right? It's the power of all those connections, get everyone in one place. There's that whole piece, right? The only reason we survived without trade shows for 2 years is the same way we could survive without kids in school together and public gatherings. It's because we had to. And the world accepted the fact that you had to be on Zoom and you had to be at home. But the second that was over, look what happened. We all rushed back to being in person.
Yeah.
And we recognize the value of what NAMM brings. It's those connections. It's that networking.
Yeah. Are you launching any special initiatives this year?
Oh, yes. So
at the NAMM show?
Yes. I mean, Industry Insights will be a really big launch, and it's going to be our commitment to, like, what does NAMM do year round? Now we're back at the January cycle. We look at NAMM for January and beyond, much like our member companies look at the show. You go to the NAMM show, and that sets your year. You make enough connections, and you learn enough about the industry and your partners, and that you basically have your business plan set for the rest of the year. And we're doing that at NAMM. You know, we're not looking at ourselves as a 4-day show, but the show is the big in-person kickoff to what we do for our industry year round. So the Industry Insights piece will be, you know, we are really focused on growing our industry, which is really global right now. And we can be a conduit for collaborative information sharing. We could be a conduit for getting all the other global associations to share and talk and push that information out to our members. So we will be announcing all of the insights that we'll be gathering and using to share with our NAMM members year round. And we're even going to announce a never before been done by NAMM summer professional development event for our industry that might be in a city that has lots of music, that's real hot in July, but we all love.
I can guess where that is.
Which will not be a trade show, but it'll be an opportunity to say, wow, NAMM is investing in growing our industry.
If you weren't the president of NAMM and you were attending the show, to say Friday, what would be your day to get the most out of your day at NAMM?
If I was an attendee.
Yes. Not president, because that'll be a little different. But you are the president, but we're going with you're an attendee.
Right. And of course, I mean, I've been an attendee on the other side for many years. I think I've always wished as an attendee, and I would, if I was attending again, now knowing more what I know what happens at the show, I would really spend more time in these educational sessions. The level of speakers and the level of insight that comes out of this, there's no other place that you're getting this much. So I would spend more time in the education sessions. I would scour the schedule and really make sure I attend those events.
There's a lot of the scope of how much is discussed in those education sessions is amazing. It's really, it's like everything you think of, there's a panel or a speaker for it.
That's the goal. Everyone has their community and everyone finds something, right?
Yeah. So, okay.
What we can do this year, I'll give you another teaser, is that we can now track who's at those sessions. And one thing we're doing is, again, as part of Industry Insights, initiative that we're thinking about, what does NAMM learn? When you bring the entire industry together and you have this much broad breadth of offerings that happen, who goes to what and who interacts with who and how that's taken? If we could capture what happens at the show and understand who attended what session and what product got the most buzz on what media and how and when, and all of the data we collect, can we capture that and package that and give that back to the industry to say, these are really good data points and indicators about where we are going as an industry based on what happens when the whole industry gathers. So, spoiler alert, we're going to do that this year.
That's very cool.
We're going to capture everything we can, and we're going to present it back to the industry.
That's very cool. Okay, let's just talk for a second about the NAMM app. Is it worth downloading? Do you really want to use it?
You have to. Oh my gosh, it's it's a game changer, right? So like the app is where is where all the education sessions are. As you can imagine, like every show, we have all sorts of last minute additions and changes. The app is where everything is up to date. It's powered by SwapCard is the company we use. They've been great partners for many years. They do many, many large trade shows. The app is where you find exhibitors. Back in the days of having a map or trying to find a locator, now if you want to find an exhibitor, you go search for them, and it's like a GPS. The blue dot just walks you to where you're going.
Yeah, it's very
So
cool.
you can set your schedule. You can network with people. Absolutely use the app.
Okay, so we want to bring in Jinting Zhao now. She has a question to ask you. So let's get her over here. Here she comes.
Hey, Jinting.
Hi, Jinting.
Hi.
It's nice to see you.
Yes.
Okay, Jinting, thank you for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and then ask your question, please?
Yes, thanks for having me, Karen. My name's Jinting. I'm from Canada. Hey. I'm part of a group called GQ Audio, and we're coming down to NAMM in January, and we're really excited about it. There's about 12 or 13 of us from across Canada, all women engineers and producers. So our question was around what do you think are maybe some of like the hidden gems at NAMM or events or sessions that you think are a little underappreciated or that people don't know about that you think are really cool and that we should check out?
Oh, that's a great question for use. I mean, there's so much. I'm telling you, there's the education sessions, and especially in the pro audio and production area, are incredible. I would divide and conquer and like try to check out and take notes on as many of those as possible because the speaker lineup is really amazing. Obviously, like come to the Women of NAMM reception, support She Rocks, and we're really working hard on growing, the diversity of our industry. And you'll see more events and more growth in that area. There's the networking receptions that are happening, like A3E does some stuff, and there's a little Pro Audio does their pool party. Try to get into that. I would take advantage of getting into those networking places, and I would just honestly like bully yourself right into the conversation. I mean, seriously, I think just like you said before, we had a question about, how does this walk in the room, be like, hey, here's who we are. We represent this group and we're here. Like, I think that's how our industry grows and that's how it happens. I think sometimes at these receptions in these areas, like people have just been friends for like 20 years and they're hanging out and they're catching up and they kind of have tunnel vision with themselves.
Yeah.
Bully your way into that conversation and start a dialogue because that's where the magic really happens.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for that. I mean, I just want to give a shout out to NAMM as well for being really, really just welcoming and really super helpful in us planning our little adventure from all across Canada. And we're really excited to see you guys in person and check out all the cool but very educational things that we're about to undertake there.
Well, so excited to have you. Cannot wait to meet you in person. I know we met virtually a couple of times, but we will meet in person. And I promise it'll be 20 Celsius here in January.
Yes, I'm counting on that.
Okay. Well, great, Jinting. Thanks for coming on and asking your question.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Talk to you later, guys.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Is there something I have missed that you want to talk about that you're burning to tell us?
I forgot about I thought about something else when we were jinting about the app. Another cool thing we're doing now is there's about so much happening that you miss. So we record, we have like 6 or more, at least 6 rooms that we like live record the sessions, like the big prominent ones. So one thing we're doing now that we were able to pull off in April, which was really cool, is if you miss a session, you can always view it on the app, but we are live recording and processing the video. So if you miss a session and you want to like catch it in real time, 15 minutes after the session ends, it's fully available in the app to view.
Wow.
15 minutes later. So if you're for some reason Canton NAMM, you're doing the app only, you can actually view things live or 15 minutes after they happen, you can watch the full thing.
How long are all those things available after the show's done?
So right now, at least 30 days, right? Long-term vision. And one thing I'll be very honest, what we're talking about is, what's the overlap between NAMM content and NAMM U on our website? So right now, the app, you'll have access for at least 30 days after the show. We might extend that. But long-term vision is, everything we capture at the NAMM Show lives year-round, curated. That's the whole focus. What we're thinking about now. How do we serve our industry year-round?
Are there any highlight? Like I know last year, and I don't know if this is happening this year or not. Is Pensado's place coming?
Pensado's is happening. Yep.
Okay.
Pro Audio is coming back in force. We actually did a press release yesterday on it because it was just so incredible. The ACC North is full. That community, and that's a community that was hard hit during COVID. It's thriving now, and of course NAMM having shows in June and in April didn't help, but now just that community particularly. But it's coming back so strong this year. We are thrilled with that growth. We've far exceeded our exhibit size goal. We've exceeded it by 18-20% already.
Wow.
Yeah, in fact, we're going to hit where we thought would be in 25 goal. We're going to hit it for 24. Just as
That's
we
great.
Very safe. Like, okay, how is this thing going to build back? It's coming back so strong right now. In fact, we were talking about sponsorships and brand activations because we're thinking about brand experiences, like how to, with all the networking and other things that happen, how can brands connect with people at the show, not just on the exhibit hall floor? They want other outlets. So we came up with all these cool brand experiences and sponsorships. We've elevated our foundation so donors can be recognized at foundation events. We have donor recognition, all this cool stuff. I talked to my team yesterday or 2 days ago, time flies, and said, how come we're not selling this stuff yet? They said, because we can't stop selling exhibits. Like, we're getting calls daily. It's just coming back so fast.
And then how's registration? Are the numbers going back up?
Yeah, registration's good. Registration, it's funny. I'm learning. This is my first cycle going through this, and I'm like freaking out. But they're like, John, nobody registers until like 3 to 5 weeks from the show. Even like all the manufacturers who are exhibiting, who know they're going to bring like their 100 people, they'll just like sign them up before. So like we sit here and we're like, this happens every year. We look at it, we're like, okay, yeah, we're tracking like 20% over, but at 8 weeks out, it all happens basically after New Year's. If you're listening,
it's crazy.
Just register right now so I can see it, right? But we have metrics that in the past that say based on exhibit hall size, based on hotel room nights, and we have other factors that let us know how registration is going to be. All those factors show that we'll be incredibly strong.
That's great. Good to hear. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up with my usual ending. So let's pretend that you actually are going to have a free evening at NAMM, and we're going to go to dinner. We're going to go out and eat. So where are we going to go eat? Because I'm sure you're pretty familiar with all those restaurants around there. What are we drinking? What are we talking about? And what are we listening to?
That's a good one. I'm trying to, I knew this was coming. And I know last time, I think we were going to sit on the water somewhere. So after the NAMM show, what restaurant would we go to? I'd want to get a little bit away from that area. We'd go a little further out. I think I would want to go somewhere lively, somewhere that has maybe a jazz group in the corner, some live music that's still feeling that vibe, because you can't come down off that NAMM show high that fast.
No,
it would not be a super quiet. But I think what we would be talking about at that point, we'd be drinking bourbon. At least I'd be drinking an old fashioned. That's a given. But I think we'd be sitting there talking about like, okay, where do we go from here? I think we're going to be inundated at that point. This is our hypothetical January 28th dinner, right? Like, we're going to be inundated with like, oh my gosh, this industry looks so different than what it was in 2019, 2020. And there's so many new paths. Like, how do we take all this in and figure out where we go from here? That's what we're going to try to figure out. And you, of course, will have a million ideas on what to do and what events to have.
I will. Yes, I definitely will. Okay, that's it. This was great. Thank you so much for answering everything. I guess the last thing is just, see you in January.
I will see you in January.